I'm Joe Lampell. When I created Growing a Greener World, I had one goal: to tell stories of everyday people, innovators, entrepreneurs, forward-thinking leaders who are all, in ways both big and small, dedicated to organic gardening and farming, lightening our footprint, conserving vital resources, protecting natural habitats, making a tangible difference for us all. They're real, they're passionate, they're all around us. They're the game changers who are literally growing a greener world and inspiring the rest of us to do the same. Growing a Greener World, it's more than a movement, it's our mission. The concrete jungle. It's a catchy nickname for any major metropolitan area. But the truth is, between all the construction and the hustle and bustle and the traffic and the noise, the city street is pretty much the last place that you would expect anything to grow, let alone be base operations for one of the country's most influential urban farming leaders today. The kind of visionary who counts Sir Richard Branson and Oprah Winfrey and President Barack Obama and the Pope as fans. Yes, we've been to rooftop gardens and we've met a lot of urban farmers, but Growing a Greener World has never taken you to any place like the Green Bronx Machine before, and you've never met anyone quite like the man behind it.
My name is Stephen Ritz, and I am and remain CEO, Chief Eternal Optimist of Bronx County and the founder of Green Bronx Machine.
The Bronx, 42 square miles of the toughest streets in the country. Almost 1.5 million people call this part of New York City home, with some figures placing nearly a third of them below the poverty line. It's here, in the poorest congressional district in America, that you'll find Community School 55. CS 55 would seem to be essentially the worst soil possible for anything to thrive in. Whether you're talking about edible crops, impressionable young boys and girls, or least likely of all, a global gardening crusade. But that's exactly what's happening here, thanks to Stephen Ritz, a kid from the South Bronx who became a teacher, moved back home, and set out to make a difference.
Well, realize I'm on my third generation of students since the early 80s, but teaching has changed in so many ways. In the old days, you just needed to be a big, loud voice in the room, a big, commanding voice. You know, this was pre-internet. This was pre-school libraries. There was, different levels of accountability. Now the internet has changed so much, media has changed so much, and there's a far greater focus on accountability, on metrics and test scores, some of it for the better, some of it for the worse. I have this fundamental belief that children should not have to leave their neighborhood to live, learn, and earn in a better one. That people shouldn't have to leave their neighborhood to live, learn, and earn in a better one. And that we can be one city united, this incredible kaleidoscope making an incredible vision. Farming happened by mistake. Literally, after the millennium, someone gifted me a box of daffodil bulbs, and I didn't know what they were. And I took this box of daffodil bulbs, if you will, and hid it behind a radiator in an old classroom. Lo and behold, the steam from that radiator forced those bulbs, and one day there was a fight in class with these 17 older age undercredited kids. And they were looking behind the radiator for something to get and something to grab, and there were hundreds and hundreds of flowers that were just blooming there, and it was like an epiphany, and it was the most de-escalating moment in the history of my career. The boys wanted to give them to girls, the girls wanted to take them and give them to their parents and sell them. And out of this turbulent atmosphere came this moment of peace and tranquility and beautiful flowers. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And these kids wanted to be a part of something. So we started doing landscaping and ornamental gardening in neighborhoods to kind of combat crime. We were taking underutilized spaces and turning them into productive, aspirational places. And kids who had never succeeded could get into a garden and one day get down, get dirty, come together and succeed and leave a place day by day better than we found it the day before, the moment before, the minute before. And I realized we were onto something.
That something eventually became the Green Bronx Machine, a nonprofit organization dedicated to improving the lives of inner-city youth through gardening in the classroom. And through his tireless efforts, Stephen is responsible for growing a lot more than fruits and vegetables.
When I started this program with targeted youth in high school, we moved attendance from 40% attendance to 93% daily attendance, and realized not only do my kids benefit when they're in school, everybody benefits when there's 93% daily attendance. We had year after year after year of 100% passing rate on New York State science exams. That's awesome. 100% of my kids graduated and went on to post-secondary training or a living wage job. And in a community that has 25% unemployment and God knows how much chronic underemployment, that's meaningful work. Since we've started in this school, behavioral incidents and out-of-class time has been reduced by 50%. That means kids are learning, teachers are teaching, kids are doing what they dreamed to do. Kids who were once running the halls for weeks at a time are now working diligently to get in here, to ride the bicycle blender, to make themselves a healthy smoothie for 30 seconds. We have upwards of 50 to 100 children showing up daily for the privilege of gardening here in the South Bronx. We have one of the most productive outdoor soil gardens per square foot in all of New York City. And in this very classroom, 4 stories up, using our tower garden technology, we have grown enough salad to feed every single student in this school a healthy meal that they grew using 90% less water in 90% less space. 35,000 pounds of vegetables later, my favorite crop is organically grown citizens, graduates, members of the middle class, kids who are going to college, kids who aren't going to jail. Yeah, I love kale and arugula, but I love me some happy, healthy kids who enjoy coming to school and eating their fruits and vegetables and bringing them home to mom and dad. That's what this is about. So if they grow it, they eat it. I have kids who love kale. I have kids who love spinach. And that's awesome. In a community where it's easier to get liquor than lettuce, the fact that we are growing food organically here, both inside and out, is game-changing.
And Stephen's not the only one who thinks what's happening at CS55 is revolutionary. The guy with the wacky bow ties routinely has some pretty heavy hitters seeking him out.
I met Steve at a food conference, sort of a changing food conference. We were both there speaking on the future of food and how to maybe improve the way people think about food and what they eat. So as you know, Steve is a very electrifying speaker, and I went up to him afterwards and said I'd like to work with him. And at the time, I was the pastry chef at the White House, very involved in Mrs. Obama's Let's Move campaign. And we hatched a plan right then and there for him to bring some kids down to the White House and see the White House garden.
Now, thanks to those early interactions with Stephen, Bill Yossis is an integral part of the regular curriculum at CS55.
After I left the White House, there were a very wide range of possibilities open to me. But this is one that I chose in particular, is working with kids around food and cooking. We call it stealth health. We never talk about health. We never say eat your vegetables. They hear that enough, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but we want to try a different tack. We introduce the vegetable or the healthy recipe to them in a way that talks about the botany, the biology, the history, the geography, everything but whether you should eat it or not. We make this vegetable come alive for them. We make it something that they really own and have ownership over, and it becomes theirs. So when they know this whole story and they identify like a character in a book, then they're the first ones to say, but can I eat it? And they know that this little seed that they see planted in the spring turns into this huge plant 2 months later. And they want to know what that story is. So it's a compelling story, it's a fantasy for them that is very, very real, and that they can experience by eating it, by absorbing it, and by truly owning it. I was privileged enough to work at the White House and cook for the great leaders of the world. It's something that is a great honor every day you walk into those gates. That house is a symbol of our democracy, but the people who are really public servants, they are interested in the one-on-one. And that's why I became involved with Steve here at CS55. He's a fantastic leader, a visionary in how we get that one-on-one. So long as I can look in the kids' eyes and see that they're going to try today cooking, and they're going to put new vegetables in that pot that they've never even thought of before, and they're going to stir it up. They're distracted by the heat and the smoke and the smells and the everything, and they're going to sit down and they're going to eat it. And it's going to be an experience that they'll remember for a very long time. Good cook.
You know what I like?
Okay.
I feel like this is eating across the rainbow.
It is. Look at all the rainbow colors there. Okay, let's put it in here. It's nice and warm. Nice and cooked through. Fantastic.
So, it's graduation day.
Yeah, it's graduation.
I hear a little bit of relief there, but, I mean, you have had so many students coming in and out of your classroom over the culmination of this school year. Do you ever stop and contemplate the message or what you're trying to leave with them? I mean, some of these kids aren't coming back. They're graduating from this school and moving on. Do you think about, hopefully, the seed that you planted? What is that?
Well, today we saw them celebrate. This was their day. And I don't see this as the end. I see this as the beginning of a new beginning. You know, we literally celebrated incredible test scores this year. Kids aspiring to things and places they've never imagined. For them, they're growing up. It's exactly the life cycle that we talk about. They're in the next stage of their lives, and the coolest thing for me is I get to crop a new one, so I get to regenerate and restore myself and get younger. So they're getting older, I'm getting younger. I know they'll be back. I know I get to see them all, and they know where to find me, right here in the garden. Awesome!
But there was a time when Stephen's future was anything but guaranteed, and the lessons he's now passing on to his students were ones he had to first learn for himself.
I'm a skinny guy, you know, but as age happened and gravity took over, I got a little bigger. And as I started continuing to work with students, my habits were informed by their habits, and I started gaining weight. I started eating what they were eating. And it wasn't good. The choices that they made were the choices that I made, except I was 40, 50 years older than them. I didn't have the same metabolism. So literally, you know, I ballooned to close to 300 pounds. I was pre-diabetic, I was cirrhotic in my liver, I was on God knows how many milligrams of Lipitor a day, and just getting sicker and fatter. And what'd that beget? Be getting sicker and fatter. It's just like an endless cycle of medication and doctors and bills and clinics. It took a near heart attack, it took a collapse, it took a whole lot of pain to get me to a point of change. So it was time for me to take control of my life, and literally I've lost over 100 pounds simply by eating the food that I grow with kids in school. It's been game-changing. And the kids love eating it. They didn't know half the stuff that we eat on a daily basis is food. And again, 10 years ago, I couldn't name 10 kinds of vegetables. Now I grow 37 kinds of fruits, vegetables, and herbs in school with kids. Man, I'm the luckiest guy alive. I have no agriculture background, no science background. I got a little understanding of what's going on. I'm not altogether stupid, don't get me wrong. But, like, you know, you put a seed in the ground, it's gonna grow. But what I really am is a people farmer. You know, I grow relationships. This whole thing starts with seeds. People planted seeds with me, and I am still continuing to germinate and give fruit. And I believe that, you know, the children are my seeds. Listen, kids who are fat are less effective in school, they have lower self-esteem, they tend to get bullied, they tend to bully other kids, they tend not to feel good about themselves. So by informing them and moving them towards good health habits, along with academic success, wow. Why didn't I start this years ago? This isn't rocket science, this is love. And let's spread a little more of it.
Even a force of nature can't change the world all by himself. Stephen's wife Lizette and their 21-year-old daughter Michaela have also become two vital cogs in the work of the Green Bronx Machine.
I'm from the corporate space, investment banking, private sector. It's a different ROI, right? I wasn't happy, and it was getting harder and harder for me to, what I like to say, pour the Kool-Aid. I just couldn't, I was really not happy, and I'd come here, and the kids are just, they're just amazing, right? They're just a hug away, you know, and they just need you to talk to them and, you know, and connect. So I quit my job. Stephen and I we're here. Stephen travels a lot, spreading the word, and I am here full time. And I walk in here every morning and I'm smiling.
When I was about 9 or 10 or 11, I didn't understand the magnitude of the everyday work my dad was accomplishing in his classrooms. I just saw rowdy kids, and I saw my dad, who was just this bundle of never-ending energy, and I saw plants, and it didn't really click for me what the connection was at that age. But as I got older and as I was able to understand and comprehend the intricacies of engaging students and working with children from all kinds of backgrounds, I realized what plants meant for my dad. It meant this was how I was going to get my students engaged, and this is how I'm going to involve them and make them feel loved. Just how plants need love, that's what I will show them.
On the flip side, we're getting older, so this is the future. So if we're not investing in our own future today, what's our future gonna look like? So I'll give you an example. We have kids asking us for salad. Well, in some places that's perfectly normal, but we're here, you know, in the middle of the South Bronx, and kids are asking us for salad. I know it sounds kind of corny, but healthy bodies, healthy minds, right? What you're feeding your body inevitably impacts your thinking. And they'll ask for it. They'll say, do you have an apple, Mrs. Ritz? Or do you have, do you have, a tangerine? Or the other day we had clementines. Oh my, they didn't know what a clementine was. Oh, now it's their favorite fruit, you know? So I like to believe that we're doing that.
Eating healthy is the guise, but the heart of the matter is the work that we're doing here is a lot more psychological and a lot more emotional than people can take it at face value. It's not just about changing health, and it's not just about changing waistlines. It's about changing hearts and about changing minds. And I think we're accomplishing that without even putting a name to it.
Garden time. Garden time. Si se puede!
The most popular class at CS55 has even become a motivating tool for other teachers to use. Garden Time with Mr. Ritz is earned all throughout the school day, and the faculty sees Stephen's lessons with the kids come to fruition, in homeroom, but also at their actual homes.
It has impacted not only my students, but the parents, to teach them how to cook healthy. So I'm so glad that it's here, and I want to be a part of it. You can see the difference. They're more alert, their hands are raised, all my students' hands are up, but you can tell the difference when they come in. If they have soda and cookies and chips in the morning, they're more groggy, they don't want to participate, they want to sleep, and the attitude, the behavior seems a little more aggressive.
I used to have students drinking soda before 8 a.m. They'll come in with soda and chips in their hands. and I hear them say, "Oh, Mr. Ritz is coming." He's earned the respect that the kids have for him. He's earned it because there are other adults here that they really don't care about. And children, we think that they don't see things, they do watch everything. If you don't care about me, I don't care about you, but he cares about them, and it's reciprocal.
Stephen's work is inspiring. The results he gets are incredible. He's making a real change that's starting to be felt far outside the confines of the South Bronx. His title as one of the most influential teachers in this country is undisputed. You would think that Stephen Ritz could basically command his own salary at just about any school in the land. And you'd probably be right. But Stephen wouldn't know, because believe it or not, his is, for all intents and purposes, a volunteer position. And there's no price tag that can be put on why he does what he does.
My why is simple. I am a man on a mission, and I am determined to end hunger and poverty, as well as address the educational inequities of this community on a wholly systemic basis. And sometimes to do that, you've got to step away from the system, say it's broken, and advocate for change. There's no line item in anyone's budget for a guy like me. I get that, but that doesn't mean there's not a place for me. It's about getting in here earlier, staying later, working smarter, touching more lives, and literally working to combat some of the most Herculean epidemics of our lifetime. Realize the face of hunger in this community is now obesity, and the rest are stunted, shunted, and in pain. And neither side of that coin is acceptable to me. We can end hunger and poverty in this lifetime, and business as usual is no longer an option. And that's what this model is all about. That a locally grown community effort, our little green garden in the middle of the South Bronx, if you will, is a model for so much more. That we can, we must, and we will. And that seeds well planted can give us a crop of epic and abundant proportions.
You know, after filming over 100 episodes of Growing a Greener World, we've always said that we travel the country to tell the stories of people and places doing great things for the planet through organic gardening and healthy lifestyles. But I have to tell you that I don't think we've ever told the story of somebody that's impacted me more emotionally than this one. Stephen Ritz and the Green Bronx Machine. I came home after spending 2 full days here, emotionally spent. Just watching the interaction he has with the kids and the love and the fact that he does it for free. I mean, he doesn't, it's all volunteer, 12 hours a day, 6:30 in the morning to 6:30 at night, 6 days a week. And you know what he says to that? He says it's okay, because he's more worried about the outcome than the income. And it shows, because when I talk to the kids about that, they all say how much that they love him. And I mentioned that to Steve, and he says to that, yeah, he said, that's my job, because I'm there to love them until they can learn to love themselves. And I can't think of a better way to tell a story than that. Here's to Stephen Ritz and the Green Bronx Machine and PS 55.
I mostly eat vegetable soup.
What I like about Mr. Ritz's class is that we get to cook, we get to have fun.
I am the next Mr. Ritz because when I grow up, I want to be a gardener, just like him.
I'll be eating salad, tomatoes, and stuff like that. And I'll push my mom to do it too.
I used to eat like a cow. And then now, I don't eat like a cow anymore. I kind of eat like a chicken.
Hey, say hi, Mom. Hi, Grandma.